Happy Tuesday, Run Tribe by community, and welcome to our Fiery Embers Show. Now, this show is not intended to give you tips and tricks on getting fitter, faster, or stronger, but it might. The intention of this show is to provide you with some laughs and levity within training and racing by having a chat with everyday athletes about the absurd, sort of like how do snakes greet each other on the trail, to the interesting, what is the last meal you would eat before blasting off to Mars with Matt Damon. Today, I'm being joined by Santino Williams, whose Instagram description is just another middle-aged dude trying to be a little bit better version of himself. Simple and sweet. And so without any further ado, let's bring Santino onto the show and have a blast. Hey, Santino, how are you, brother?
I'm doing excellent. How about you?
I am fantastic. I'm excited to chat with you. We've been connected on Threads for a number of months now, and it's always been fun to engage you in conversation. So I'm thrilled to have you on our show.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm very excited about this new format. Once you put the feelers out on Threads, it was like, oh, this is something I got to participate in. So I'm honored that I was chosen.
Awesome. So here's the thing. You and I were just in the green room talking about the Dodgers. So I'm going to paint the picture for you.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Santino is a Dodgers fan and I am a Mets fan. There is a very good chance that they meet in the NLDS this year. So where are we going to watch a game, and how do you handle it when Francisco Lindor hits a homer in the top of the ninth to give the Mets a lead, and Sugar Diaz strikes out Shohei Ohtani to end the ballgame?
Here's the deal. It's now I'll give a little bit of background here. You and I were talking about it before, but I grew up in the Bay Area, and so obviously Bay Area, their flagship team is the Giants. I'm not a big fan, being a Dodgers fan, of course, but for many years before 2010, the theme of Giants baseball was torture, and it sort of feels like, for whatever reason, once they were able to wash that stink off them, it's kind of become the theme of Dodgers baseball. Even to the point 2020 was a great year. I'm not going to say I don't count it, but it's like, even when we break through, we don't quite break through. You know what I'm saying? So I'd like to say, oh, I'd be so heartbroken, this and that, whatever, in that scenario. But if I'm being honest, it'd almost be like, yep, just another year of Dodger baseball. So I hope I'm wrong. But, at this point, it's sort of how do they say, plan for the worst, or expect the worst, but plan for the best, or however that saying goes. I'm stumbling over my words already here, but
it reminds me of, I just finished reading the book by Devin Gordon called The Best Worst Team in Baseball, and it's about the Mets, and it takes you through 1962 through 2020 and all the shit that organization has been through, good, bad, and indifferent. And you realize at some point, you're like, I invest so much time and energy into this, and what difference does it make? The guy's going to strike out or hit a home run either way. Like,
absolutely. No, and that's, years ago, I was at, back when it was cool, I was at Burning Man, put it that way. And I just ended up having the most random conversation with somebody about that, and this realization came over me, and it's like, I'm not getting paid by the team here, and I cannot keep investing so much of myself into it. So, I certainly do get worked up from time to time, but I try and remind myself of that, where it's like, I'm not an actual representative of the team here. So
yeah, I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat right now because the Mets are finally having a fun season. Make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs, I don't know. I won't say I won't care, because if they don't, maybe for like an hour or two, I'll be bummed. But the reality is I'm having fun with this team all of a sudden, which for years I haven't been able to do. I would always say, come May, I've written them off, and I can enjoy my summers watching other teams play good baseball. But the Mets have been fun. It's September 17th, and I'm still glued to my chair. So it's hard to argue with that.
Oh, no, absolutely. And that's, that's the thing, is this time of year, you're really kind of scoreboard watching a bit more. And I don't think I was giving them the credit that they probably deserve this year, especially, Atlanta's been having their struggles with injuries, this and that, whatever. But even still, it's, they're keeping that division tight. And Philly's going to Philly. I'm certainly not going to say anything, because watch, I'm going to I'm gonna poo-poo them, and they're gonna be the ones to bounce us in the NLCS or something. But that's the Mets have done an incredible job of keeping it a 3-horse race all
Yeah.
year long.
All right, sticking with baseball.
Okay.
Sticking with being a Dodger fan, who is your favorite player from the Dodgers since you've been watching them?
All time, it's a player I didn't even watch. All time, it's Sandy Koufax.
Okay, New Yorkers will take that
for sure. But if we're talking about players that I've seen play, and I've definitely been following through the course of some big names, but Kershaw, I mean, for crying out loud, the guy is probably behind Jackie Robinson and Sandy Koufax. Kershaw is the third most legendary Dodger of all time, so have to go with him. My wife gives me a hard time about my man crush on him, but I'll own it. So.
We live in LA now, and I can only imagine what it must have been like when Fernando Mania, with the Mexican population that's here and the Hispanic population that's here in LA, must have been amazing to be a Dodger fan in the early to mid 80s with Fernando Mania going down around here.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. Fernando, you got to give him credit because, I mean, obviously the Dodgers were already popular, but he kind of turned them into what the Dodgers are today within the community because, just reading up on the history of the team, there was a fair amount of resentment within the Latino community just with how many people were displaced from Chavez Ravine to build Dodger Stadium. So he kind of, really helped heal a lot of those wounds there and charge the base. So.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, just Google Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium. You'll get the history of what transpired here in LA when they built that stadium. So let's switch bases for a minute. You know how much I love food. We talk about food a lot on Threads and in our platform here. So what is a meal that you have had that you would do just about anything to have again? And what was that meal? Where was it?
God, okay. So I probably have a couple answers for this, but I'm going to go with the one that jumped out in my head the most. And I actually just had it recently. So it had been years since I'd been back in the Bay Area. There is it's a chain, but it's a local chain of barbecue restaurants started in the East Bay in Oakland called Everett and Jones. I was out in San Francisco for the SF Marathon in July. Ran the marathon. I told my parents met me at the finish line. My parents and my nephew, they were waiting for me at the finish line. That was all I was thinking about. That's what was getting me through for probably the last 5 or 6 miles. Is it's like we're going to Everett and Jones as soon as we're done here. So the Everett and Jones, the 4-way, which what is that? That's ribs, brisket, chicken, and the links. They do homemade links there with the spicy sauce, all the sides. I'm weird about tracking calories, this and that, whatever. It's like I do not care. Put everything. I don't want to see the table. I just want it covered in food, that sort of thing. So Everett and Jones, that's one of those meals that the 4-way combo at Everett and Jones with the spicy sauce. That's one of those that's a meal that will fix me when I'm really not myself or really pushing through or whatever the case may be.
All right, so you're at Everett and Jones, spicy sauce, barbecue everywhere. Are you holding the napkin while trying to eat, or are you tucking it into the shirt and just letting whatever falls on your napkin fall on your napkin?
Oh no, that's it's I'm whatever falls is gonna fall. I'm gonna hold the napkin. If I have to sacrifice the shirt, it's a worthy sacrifice. That's the way I look at it, and that's kind of the philosophy I take to just about all barbecue. That's not the kind of food that you can. There's not really a polite way to eat barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
So I bring this question up because I don't know if you are a fan of Stanley Tucci, but he has a show on CNN or Discovery where he goes around Italy eating.
Absolutely.
And he talks about, there was one episode where he's like, that's some good shit. And it just like hit me in my head like, man, what's one meal that I would say that about that I would go back to find no matter what it took to get there? And so thanks for participating with that question.
Of course. So what is it for you? Just, out of curiosity.
So it's homemade. So my mother's recently passed, but she was a great cook. And so for me, it would be chuletas with arroz con bichuelas. Like without a doubt. So basically, a fried pork chop with rice and beans.
Oh, nice.
Super simple, super easy, right? But it is perfection in on a plate. And I would do anything to have that again. Not because my mother's passed. I would have said that answer because it just brings back so many memories. And I think that's what food should do for all of us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, so when you went to the barbecue place, were you going as a kid or were you bringing your family there? And is that why, beyond the food, was it the memories that were made there as well?
I'm sure there's some element of that. It's just kind of been it's one of those kind of Bay Area mainstays. I know there are, kind of rival places and you kind of have to choose your team. So I've always kind of been team Everett and Jones, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely memories tied to it. But just beyond that, living away from it, it's one of those absence makes the
Yeah,
heart grow fonder type things, where it's before it would just sort of be like, oh, this is what we're doing on a, random Wednesday night for
right.
dinner when we don't feel like cooking or whatever. And it's like, can't have that now. So I want it even more. But no, and I totally get that because there are other foods that for me there is, it's probably more memory attached to it than the actual,
Yeah.
food itself. But it's you know how it is because we have talked about it before on Threads. But it's food is such an important thing just on so many levels, just
Yep.
beyond. I can't relate to the people who just eat strictly as a fuel source and don't get into it. And that's the thing. Sometimes I go way off the deep end if I'm having my untracked days or whatever. But you got to do it. It's so important. Like it's life. Food
It
is life.
is. You get to enjoy yourself. Like, I saw Pop Tarts USA post the other day. Like, my favorite way to eat a Pop Tart is when it comes out of an air fryer or something to that effect. And I thought to myself, I've never thought about putting a Pop Tart in an air fryer. What a genius idea!
Right?
Like, it's smart. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
So here's another question for you. I was scrolling through your IG,
Okay.
and not that long ago, you had painted your nails. Your daughter had painted your nails for your race.
Yes.
So, is this a race strategy you would recommend to people? Were you faster that day with the painted nails?
I didn't PR, and I actually still have a little remnant of it here. I didn't PR, but I definitely did better than I was expecting. So there might be something to that. I don't know. I got a half coming up next month, and I'm kind of. I was actually talking to my daughter earlier today about what my theme is going to be in terms of colors and everything. So I may have to have her come up with a nail pattern for me for that too, and we'll see. If I PR, then yes, I'm 100% painting my nails for every race from here on out.
And we're publishing a handbook on why you should do it.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing, like, so in that picture that you posted, the nail color matched your running shoes. But this time you said you're thinking about an outfit. So that might change everything up.
It could, yes, yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's I mean, and obviously you've scrolled through my IG. You see me running every day. I have a handful of things that I wear for my daily runs. But when
Man,
it's race
did
day,
you
it's
read
like,
my questions ahead of time?
oh no, no, no. Well, okay, so we'll put a pin in that then. We'll put a pin in that. But that's the thing is, race day, even if it's not like a big event type race, it's still kind of fun to treat it a little more special. It's that look good, play good mentality if you grew up playing any sort of sports,
That's right.
where you just kind of take a little bit extra pride in your uniform or whatever. And this is our uniform as runners. So
I'm laughing because you just reminded me of a story. When I was I'm still a dirty kid. Like, I love running through puddles. Like, I want to ride my bike through the mud. That's who I am as an adult today, and when I was a kid as well. So when I was a young boy, I played Little League baseball. Went to the field. My mother stayed home. My dad took me there, and it was pouring. There was no way on earth they were going to allow this game to be played. But I was in my uniform and I ran the bases and I slid anyway, practicing sliding. And I get home and my mother's like, "Why are you dirty? You didn't even play a game." So my question to you is, are you one of those people who's a pig pen kid like me? Or are you going to keep things really clean and sort of bleached, shall we say?
I'm somewhere in between. It's one of those where I try and keep it as nice as I can up to a point, and then you just kind of hit that moment where it's just like, fuck it, let's just get dirty. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely something that carries through into adulthood. You know, you'd be out walking the dogs or whatever, this and that, and they decide they're gonna get filthy, and I can only stop you so much. So it's like, yeah, if I got a muddy dog jumping up on me or whatever, not the end of the world. That's what we have washing machines for. I'm not, that's never my intention when I go out, of course. But hey, when it happens, it happens.
So we were talking about scrolling through your IG and the different outfits and stuff like that. So what I noticed is headbands everywhere. So you're always running in a headband.
Oh, yes.
Do you have a favorite headband? Do you have a favorite color? And what is the meaning behind it?
The headband, well, it's just because I'm a follically challenged kind of guy.
Me too,
Okay, so you know how it goes. You get the sweat in your eyes. So that's really where it started. And I did find that for whatever reason, I like the ones that tie in the back better. The elastic ones, they bug me, they stretch out, they whatever. So I don't know that I have a particular favorite per se. I do have one, what is it? Junk Brands, that like just kind of plain bandana print one. Whenever that one's clean, I usually grab that one first. So I guess if I were pressed to pick a favorite, it'd be that one. It's just kind of black and white and red bandana print.
Is there a character in a movie or a TV show other than Rambo? Because he's the only one I can think of when it comes to wearing headbands that you could dress up as for Halloween in a month or so and have the outfit already ready because you've got the headband?
No, you know, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I will say in terms of Halloween costumes, though, my daughter went as Katana from Mortal Kombat a while back, and she needed
those
black...
have headbands.
Well, they do, but she also needed a black like sash across the waist, and we couldn't find anything that worked. I just sacrificed one of my running headbands for her. That worked out perfectly. So,
how many times were the words "finish him" mentioned throughout the house in the week leading up to Halloween?
Oh God, quite a bit. And I'm the one who likes to sew in the house. I don't know where I picked the hobby up. But God, it was a lot of, you know, trying on this and that and whatever. And either the music from Mortal Kombat playing in the background, or I'd just have the old movie on, because I don't think the new one had come out yet. The new one's terrible anyway. But that was it was definitely channeling my inner whoever the costume designer was for the original Mortal Kombat.
What's more relaxing for you, sewing or going out for a run?
Tough to say. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm being honest, just kind of off the top of my head, I'm going to say going out for a run. I think it's a bit more universal. Sewing, when I'm actually doing it, I like it, but there's a lot of setup involved. You know what I'm saying? Whereas running, you throw on your running shoes. You don't even have to get changed if it's that serious, if you just really have to get out the door. But sewing, there's, you know, you kind of have to psych yourself into all the preamble beforehand. But when I'm actually doing it, it's a lot of fun for sure.
All of our sewing audience just erupted in cheers, like, yes, it's a lot of work, man.
It is, for sure.
All right, so here's an off the wall question.
Okay.
So, do you think bears are shy when they're going to the bathroom in the woods? Like, are they trying to hide behind a tree? Or are they like, look, I'm a bear and I'll just poop where I want to?
You know, that's a really good question, actually. And see, that's one of those that it's like you never really think about it. I'm going to say...
No, you never really think about it.
That's true.
My brain works this way.
No, I'm going to say, hey, you're the bear. You're the top dog in the forest. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta be modest for anyone. This is your space. So no, I'm going to say, at least if I'm a bear, that's the way I look at it, is I'm going to go where I feel like going, and hey, it's everyone else's responsibility to look away.
So I'm going to ask you this question because I asked it of Jennifer Comfort years ago, and her response, I can still see the words coming out of her mouth, and I'm still in tears about it. Okay. And you may have sort of answered it, but anyway, the setup was you get to have one meal before you blast off into outer space to go to Mars with Matt Damon, and you're only going to eat sweet potatoes for the rest of your life. God. Now, you mentioned Everett and Jones, but let's pretend that doesn't exist. What's the last thing you're going to eat? What's going to be on that plate?
Oh, God. You know, okay. The neurotic in me is thinking, well, it's a long flight into outer space. I don't want something that's going to upset my stomach. But I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to let my my kind of Northern California douchebag out here and say, whatever it is that they're serving on the prefix menu at French Laundry that day, let me have that. Put me in the spaceship and send me to Mars. I've only ever eaten there once. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So it's like, if that's the last thing I'm gonna eat before it's sweet potatoes from here on out, I can live with that.
I could give you a million guesses, and you will never guess what Jennifer Comfort said. Her answer was wheat thins.
Wheat thins.
Wheat thins.
And what was the reasoning for wheat thins?
She didn't have one. She was like, I was stumped. I'm like, you're stumped on food, and the best answer that popped in your head was wheat thins.
I mean, that's, even if it was like what snack food, I don't know that it would be.
There's no way, dude. There is 0% chance on this earth that I would have yelled wheat thins to anything. Even it's more like, what cracker would you eat? I would still say saltines.
Yeah, I would have picked. Saltines or maybe Ritz, goldfish, maybe if I was really thinking on my toes. But wheat thins, and that's, I don't mean to disparage, because if that's a person's thing, that's their thing. But it is funny because my wife, maybe about once or twice a year, she'll request wheat thins. It's not something we keep in the house, and it always strikes me as weird that it's like, oh, sure thing, yeah, let's get some wheat thins.
And now when your wife brings it up, you're gonna be like, get this. Right. I talked to Jason one time, and he told me this story.
Yeah, exactly.
It will never. So we had her on the show again, and she was like, look, I know I had a bad answer the first time, but I think I've gotten better now. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm expecting, this extravagant meal that just goes on for forever, because you're only going to be eating sweet potatoes with Matt Damon for the rest of your life. And she's like, frosted animal crackers. And I'm like, so you upgraded from wheat thins? Thought about this and went to frosted animal crackers, which are a great snack.
No, it's a good snack. But again, I could see maybe if it was like animal crackers with ice cream or something, but I don't know. Again, though, if that's a person's thing, that's their thing. I'm not, but God. But now you got me thinking, and it's like, okay, if I really had to tone it down, and if it was a snack food, that's actually a very easy answer for me. Oreos. And it's one of those.
Is it like the OG Oreo, or are you going double stuff? Are you going that? And look, I would love to get a deal with Nabisco and Oreo, but those thins, I mean, don't call them cookies. They're crackers. And those Cakester things are not cookies either. They are nothing more than a devil dog in a shape.
The Cakesters are a letdown to me. I hate to say it, because I'm very much an Oreo loyalist from back in the day, but that's one of those things that every now and then they'll have the little convenience store packs at the gas station or something. It's like, I wonder if I still don't like them. And it's like, yeah, no, not for me.
Let me find out.
Yeah. But if I were to pick, okay, if you're just going the classic, kind of core lineup, I'd go probably double stuff is fine. But if I get to go with any of the weird ones, they had those most Oreos, if you remember those, where it was Oreo with a cookies and cream filling.
Yes.
I was addicted to those things. I'm so glad that they were just a temporary thing, because I don't think I'd be able to work off the amount of calories that I consumed on the regular. It wasn't just like let's get these every now and then. It was, let's get multiple packs every time we go to the grocery store sort of thing with me. So yeah, if I could get Nabisco to make some exception to bring those back because I'm going to Mars. Yes, just give me a case of those. Just let me eat them until I'm about to blow up, and then put me on the spaceship.
Are you a dunker? No. Or are you no dunking?
Oh, no. Regular milk, I just can't do. It's not for anything. It's just, it kind of breaks my brain. I don't know why. I'm certainly not lactose intolerant. I love cheese. I love, ice cream, things like that, whatever. But just regular milk, can't do it on anything. Cereal, none of that. I have to have almond milk. And with my Oreos, I don't know. Maybe I'm boring, but I need them. I need them just as they come.
No, I don't think you're boring, dude. I'm the same way. Like, I had Jason Fitzgerald on our fireside chat last week, and what he said, the first thing he does is he drops one into the glass of milk, just so it sits there. It basically disintegrates, so that when he's done and he pours, he gets like this rush of cookies and cream
No, I get that for sure.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. I just pop them in my mouth like aspirin.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing. If I'm having a day, again, where I'm not tracking and I'm pulling out all the stops, I will sit, put something fun on TV, give me the family size pack. Let me just go through a whole sleeve, or it's not a sleeve, but the whatever the little section in the plastic divider is. I'll just go through a whole one of those without even thinking about it. It's just kind of an automatic response.
What animal do you think you would be faster than if you had the chance to? Could you run faster than a gorilla, or could you swim faster than a small fish?
I mean, are gorillas? And now I don't know. Are gorillas fast? Like I want
I
to
have
say
no
I could
idea.
run faster than a gorilla, but it's probably you
But if
know
I
how it
said
is
cheetah, you'd say, man, I can't outrun a cheetah.
Oh no, I can't outrun a cheetah for sure. That'd be ridiculous. But yeah, no, a gorilla. I'm gonna say outrun a gorilla. I'm an okay swimmer, but I certainly don't think I'd put my swimming skills up against any fish. I mean, I guess a really small fish has just got a lot of distance to cover.
Right.
So in that case, shit. Now you really got me thinking here.
Yes, I like the logical brain. That's the whole point.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna stick with outrun a gorilla as my first answer. And as soon as we get off of here, I'm going to Google how fast a gorilla can run, and hopefully I didn't just totally embarrass myself.
See, I would have gone with I could outswim a goldfish, because for 100 yards to us is like, for me, 13 or 14 strokes. I would think it would take a goldfish a long time to
You
get
would
to the
think.
other end. I would think.
Yeah. I don't know. That's well, for sure. Yeah, I'd be pretty confident in saying I could outswim a goldfish, but like regular fish, I don't know. That's
No, there's no way.
yeah,
There's no way I'm out swimming like a flounder or a salmon. No chance.
yeah. Definitely not like what are like a real fast like a tuna or something like that. No.
Yeah,
But,
there's no way. We had Running Tales. We produced the Running Tales podcast episode earlier today, and it's hosted by Craig Lewis, who's in the UK.
Mhm.
And his guest is also in the UK. So we were having a conversation about the metric system.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, Americans don't operate that way, right? We can't figure out kilometers. For some reason, we don't know how to multiply by 0.6, or we couldn't adopt it for whatever reason. Could you imagine what would happen to calendars if Americans were like, look, I get that a minute is 60 seconds, but for us, it's going to be 35 seconds instead?
Yeah, no, that's but okay, here's the thing. Like who settled on 60 seconds to begin with? I'm sure there is some logical answer that goes way back to whenever, but like why is a minute 60 seconds anyway? But it is good that that's sort of a universal measurement. As much as a 40-year-old man can be still befuddled by the metric system, I lived in countries that use the metric system and I'm still confused by but like it probably would be better if we were just all metric, but there is that just American hardwiring in my brain that I can't do it for whatever reason.
One of the most confusing things about time for me was when I lived in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
The clocks, like half the year you're in Mountain Time, the other half the year you're in Pacific Time. Brother, I can't tell you how many meetings I missed.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Like I would try to schedule it for like an Eastern time zone meeting, and then I'd be off by an hour in one direction or the other.
Oh yeah. And the thing that I love is we love to act like it's like a feature and not a bug. Like, oh, we don't have daylight savings time. That's great, but it makes it more confusing for everyone else. It's like anyone who's bragging about that does not have, clients or work or whatever outside of, Arizona, because it's a pain.
It's a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah.
It is such a pain in the ass. Last question for you before I let you go. This has been so much fun. So the threads post evolved or revolved around, how do snakes greet each other?
Yes.
Do they headbutt each other? Do they wrap their necks around each other like a handshake? Do they slap their tails as they pass each other? How do you think snakes greet each other on the trail?
It's really funny because I was I was wondering if you were going to ask me this. I was on my walk today because it was an active recovery day. These are usually thoughts that go through my head when I'm running, but I was out walking instead. And I think I landed on they slap tails, especially out here we have rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that it would be really cool to see two rattlesnakes greet each other by like slapping their rattles together or something like that. But that's the answer I'm going with here, and that's that is one of those like philosophical S tier type questions right there. But again, you know, it's the kind of thing where I'm sure you could probably talk to is it a herpetologist or whatever, and they'd be like, well, actually, and it's like, no, you're ruining the fun.
Exactly. Which is, I'm surprised, right? I posted that thing on social media. I am surprised that there wasn't a single response. I was like, well, actually,
Yeah,
here's how it happens, because, you know, social media is notorious for the experts in the industry.
for sure,
Oh,
for sure.
Santino, man, thank you so much for joining me on our Fiery Embers. This was a blast. We'll have to do it again real soon.
Absolutely, anytime, anytime. I had so much fun with this. This is awesome.
See you soon, brother.
See you soon. Take care.